What's up, party people? Welcome back to Round 5 Commentary with your boy Sparky. I am once again with my boy Victor. Victor, Tum Tum, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. I'm gonna get you all back for that. Don't worry about it. I take names and I take numbers. I will have my revenge.
Well, I'm
Oh, I updated my fables and the Johnnies.
Blue Belcher. Tom's actually playing my deck as I was working behind the scenes in the booth today. Well, that day.
Mulligan, huh?
It's past tense now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but it's a common matchup. I personally feel like Blue Belcher's favored here, but I'd love to get your take on what's going on.
It's not the best hand.
You know what's funny is I've never played any part of this matchup whatsoever. Being on either side, I've never even played Blue Belcher to be honest. I
Fair.
am familiar with what the deck is doing.
Find them.
But even when I was playing Energy for a little bit, I don't think Blue Belcher was a thing just yet.
We doing a
Um,
splitter now.
So that being said,
Oh, you're 3-1.
Yeah,
I would think that a combo deck that doesn't care about energy speed necessarily might be favored. However,
I guess I have to keep
energy, and we talked about this time and time again, energy is the top dog. When you're facing the top dog, you're the one that has to prove why you can beat it. So, with that being
100%.
said, I'm gonna give it to energy, and maybe Tom will prove me wrong.
Yeah, for those at home, all the lists are on Moxfield. You can find the Belcher under my lists. It'll be Blue Belcher probably further down in the log. Brian's list I'll be posting as of the posting of this recording. With cards like Bane Veil, which is a land, but it's also like a quote unquote fog, like your opponent's creatures get -2, -0. Like you have so many ways to bulk or stop energy's pressure. And then especially if you're gonna like suspend 2 Lotus Blooms, like brother, like this is like a turn 4 kill if he has a Belcher.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah,
And then
so
you
I guess
have
at that
reactive
point,
spells. Yeah, and then you have reactive spells like Stern Scolding.
yeah, so I'm gonna assume here that all Tom is trying to do is literally just to survive until then.
Survive until you can draw the Belcher or find the Belcher with one of your creatures or spells. Whir of Invention. The lands are now running, or in the land pile, you're running Waterlog Teachings to find your Whir of Inventions. So, like, the lists have definitely, like, streamlined a bit to, like, make it more consistent that you're finding your Belchers and getting your kills as quickly as possible. Turn 4, turn 5, give or take. But, I mean, like, this is a strong start from Brian. I'll give it to him. Like, he had a double Ocelot Pride start. He's applying pressure. His pressure's growing not exponentially, but it's growing turn by turn every time he gets in damage with this Ocelot Pride. So
Well, if Tom doesn't have that spell snare there, I'm a little worried at that point because that's a lot of value so quickly.
going from 1 creature to 4 creatures in your end step is pretty nuts.
I wish you left the Blade on top for me.
Tom plays the Suppression Ray as his land. I think that's like Orderly Plaza is the backside.
Hey,
I don't
you
know.
know what?
I don't
I'll
know
help
the
you out.
names on the other sides. Yeah, help a brother out.
I'll take care of you. So that card was Suppression Ray.
Monkey.
Oh my goodness. You think I would be able to find it? Oh, it's because it's a sorcery, so it's in the wrong spot. Orderly Plaza, orderly, not
Yeah.
quarterly. Close enough.
Quarterly.
It has business reports due at the end of this match.
I would hope so.
Did Brian kindly put initials
So
on the cards for us?
yes,
So we
he
could
he
tell?
told me as he sat down. He's like, I put A's and F's on my like proxy cards, not proxy cards, but you know what I mean. Just to help us out a little bit.
You know what? That's a real one right there. I mean, shout out to Brian. Helped me fix my golf swing a little bit on Friday, and is helping the stream. That's a real friend there.
Yeah, and inaugural OCHO champion.
He is the inaugural OCHO champion. Unfortunately for him, I can't play to get that title from him. So,
None of us can, but hopefully
No.
one of you can. One of you listeners, one of you commenters, one of you people at home, come and try and dethrone the champ at the OCHO.
Speaking of which, when is that, Sparky? Since we're on
That
the
is
topic of it.
I'll plug July 26th in Manasquan, New Jersey. It's basically going to be a 1K. We haven't advertised it as a 1K because depending on attendance is going to be what the prize support is. But a large majority of your entry fee is going to
A card.
the prizes. Once we cover our judge, boom, the rest is going to you guys. So I'm hoping it's going to be a fun time. I hope it's going to be a blast. We have a playmat going to the champion, and if you register before July 18th, you're registered in a raffle for a box of Edge of Eternities. I think the set's called.
Edge of Eternities, that is correct. And we're starting to see some spicy spoilers just kind of,
That Eldrazi card was nuts. I hope Warp is bigger in the set that beyond just that one card, but we shall see.
Yeah, I'm very excited for. I mean, Warped seems crazy. The 3-mana Tezzeret,
Seems pretty good.
That card's gonna be nuts. I'll say it now. There's just
Basic.
anything that whenever an artifact you control enters, there's like a million 0-drops, and it's just gonna get wild crazy. I'm glad to see that they reprinted Shocks to help keep the cost down.
Yeah. I think that's
the
pretty good.
basic lands are phenomenal. If you haven't seen,
chef's kiss on the art. The artwork for like some of the full arts, beautiful.
So I'll probably be getting as many of those as I can when I can.
Yeah, I'm super psyched. I think the set's turning out pretty nice. I would assume, and I mean we're recording this on Sunday, so we don't know the information yet. But I'm assuming Monday morning, especially with this warped mechanic, Beanstalk's got to go in standard, right, bud? If they're just gonna print another cost reducer.
Yeah, I can't see it being fair to keep that. Yeah, I think that'll definitely put. I think it'll put Beanstalk back on the map. Like domain, like you don't even have to play domain anymore. You can just do something completely different.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I love Beanstalk. It's one of my favorite cards, but you can't put something like that, and especially because I think that spoiled Eldrazi wasn't even a mythic. I think it might have been a rare at best.
I think it's a base rare, yeah.
So if that's like what a rare can do, I don't even want to know what else they're thinking about adding into the equation.
Yeah. Back to the match a little bit. Brian went with Season Pyromancer into drawing a couple cards after ditching plans. He picked up a voice and a Galvanic Discharge. Discharge not too good in this matchup unless you're trying to stop Flare of Denials. And Tom's taken a little bit of a tank after he put these Lotus Blooms in. It looks like he's got that Razor Grass Ambush. He has another Philology, and I think there's a Seagate Restoration in his hand, along with another Bane Veil. So,
I mean, to my knowledge, there is nothing that Brian has main deck that can answer any part of this, right? Like, if Tom has it, just go for it.
Theoretically, from the Belcher side, it's like a 70-30 game one. Like if you're on the play, if you're on the draw, it's like a 51-49 because like they can get out faster than you.
And I have to assume that Brian's already picking up the posture that Tom does not have the combo.
I would assume by this line of play, yes. And I mistook. It seems that there's a Bane Veil, Lotus Bloom, the Ambush in his hand, and this might be where he picks up the Seagate Restoration, which I don't think is that bad. I know it seems like a bad line, but sacking these 2 Lotus Blooms and picking up this Seagate, you would get to draw 4 cards because the Razor Grass is in the hand. And then because you already have a white land in play and another white land you can play tapped, if you draw a Tameshi with those Lotus Blooms in the graveyard, like you're just good to go. The problem is you need to protect it against the discharge that Brian has in his hand. I think he's just trying to keep his life total high and use this Veil to fog a turn. and
I
hopefully
mean, I
draw
don't blame
something.
him. Nine's not a lot against energy. Any variation of energy. I mean, luckily, Brian's only playing the Boros version. I think if you're on the Mardu version or you're playing against the Mardu version, I think
Yeah,
that they are so explosive out of the gate where randomly it's like you're dead and you're like, oh no.
Exerting.
yeah,
Yep.
Using a weight. Red footing.
brother.
And that kind of cancels out that plan. And he exerted it, so
Well, he can respond with that on the stack.
with does he have he has the Bayveen
He's got the Bane Veil, yeah.
yeah, sorry. I'm looking at the Razor Grass ambush.
Yeah, so this
Thinking
shrinks
about that more.
this shrinks the squad that's already in play, which is all of the cats in the Spyro.
This does that affect?
So the voice isn't in play yet.
So yeah, that answers my question.
Yeah, but if you, I would. There's no point in swinging because everything's an O2 or and they're all zero power, and then the voice just makes. I guess you get in for one, so I guess
Yeah.
maybe getting in for one's decent. I mean, Tom
One,
can't
two,
literally can't cast a spell,
4,
so.
All right, I'll go to combat.
Yep.
I'll attack.
I'll block or unblock.
Sure.
I'll take one.
So yeah,
Right.
1 damage from the second.
Yep.
What would be brutal here is if Brian had the
And I'll pass through.
bombardment, which he doesn't,
No bombardment.
Yeah,
No.
because it wouldn't even be a second thought.
got a little lucky there. Ooh, that's another Seagate.
So what? At that point, he draw 2 cards. Yeah.
So yeah, it would be one for the card in his hand and then one for the Seagate. I think this shows a little bit of Tom, because this was obviously the first tournament Tom played the deck. I think this shows a little bit of like trying to learn, or like the learning curve of what's going on in this deck, in that I believe that playing the Seagate and drawing as many cards as you could have done last turn was the smart thing to do, whereas this turn it might not be, because I mean, hindsight's 2020. He would have not been dead to like the attack, because it would have been 4 from all the cats, 7 from the voice and the tokens, and then 2 more from the Spyro, which is 9 altogether. But you could go to, like, if Brian discharges, you go to 1 by blocking, or go to 2 by blocking the Spyro, and you're still okay. That being said,
Here we
I'm
go.
not sure if we would have got there. So
Draw 2.
Your hand size +1.
Okay, 2.
it's a
Oof.
Lotus and a Scolding. Yeah.
Not what you need. Wrong artifact.
Nah, unfortunately.
20 cards.
I did give there was a sideboard map for Tom, at least, because I've had a hard time just playing this deck and trying to figure out how to sideboard and what comes in and what comes out, because like you're not really cutting any of the cards that become lands. There's like relatively some number of flex slots. The flex slots could be anywhere from like your Flare of Denials to your Disrupting Shoals to like your counter spells, and like the list is running 1 Into the Flood Maw, 1 Snapback at the moment. Those can be like your flex slots. As of right now, the cards that I would have brought in. Ooh, no, I actually have the sideboard list right here. So, for the Boros matchup, we're taking out the 3 Flare of Denial. I'm bringing in an Into the Flood Maw, the Propaganda, and a Stern Scolding. Propaganda detects their mana if they want to attack us with a large board state. It stops them from going wide, because it's basically
I completely forgot that's in modern.
So it's in modern because of the Assassin's Creed set.
That one was feeling good.
Yeah,
too.
no, I just
Yeah.
didn't even occur to my mind when you said propaganda. I was like, wait a minute, the EDH
Yeah.
card.
So you're taking out the counter spells that are relatively not that great, because you're mostly using them like by sacking your dudes. You want your dudes as blockers in this matchup, so it's very important. You're taking like you're bringing in another Into the Flood Maw, which is an answer to like High Noons and Deafening Silences, stuff like that. And then you're also bringing in the Propaganda for the attackers. There's some number of times where we cut like a Tameshi and like you cut a Lotus Bloom to bring in Flusterstorms if you know your opponent's playing Orm's Chant, but that's only in like weird corner case scenarios. Or if you know they're going to bring in like Molten Rains against you, sometimes they can, and it's like the Stone Rain effect is just so nuts. Like look at how many cards Brian has in his hand right now that he doesn't want in the deck.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't want those Thraben Charms. He doesn't want all 4 Flages. He doesn't want the Static Prisons because they don't do anything. Like they have so many cards to cut. So like when he's bringing in cards, he's got 2 Clarions. Yeah, so he's bringing in the Molten Rains. He was bringing 2
Which
Clarions.
makes sense to me.
I think like 3 Molten Rains.
Modern Link, they throw you into the...
And then something else.
It's the
I
classic.
believe there was like Wear Tear on that list. I have to look at his sideboard real quick.
I think
Yeah, his sideboard has 2 Blood Moons, 2 Purges, 2 Conquerors, a Ghost Vacuum, 2 High Noon, 3 Molten Rain, 1 Shadow of Skulls, 1 Wear Tear, and 1 Wrath of the Skies.
I think he was sideboarding 7 cards. It was the 2 Clarions, 2 High Noons, and the 3 Molten Rains. Because I believe he took out 2 Thraben Charm, 2 Static Prison, 2 Flage, and 1 Fable, which is 7 cards. So I think that's the swap they made. Going into game 2, I believe Tom is a little bit heavily favored. Just because like you're Belcher on the play. Belcher on the play obviously plays a little bit different than Belcher on the draw. Like you have to like consider mulliganing a little differently when it comes to both of those. You have to consider like a bunch of other random factors, like how fast your opponent can be when it comes to that. But I think in the grand scheme, being on the play, having a Lotus Bloom off the rip, that kind of stuff, like those are the hands you want to keep, just like trying to be as explosive as possible.
Hey, listen, that makes sense to me. So, no
And then
disagreement there.
From the Boros side, I honestly think that you keep like Threat and then like any kind of interactive card, and you're kind of good.
I'd say Ragavan plus anything is like snap key.
Well, I'll go as far as to say like any 1-drop in your deck plus like any of the interactive stuff. So like if you have like 1-drop Conqueror and then like some amount of other things, or if you have like 1-drop High Noon, 1-drop like Molten Rain, I think those are all fine.
You know what would be kind of techy to see? I'll put it on my bingo card. Would be if Tom puts multiple Lotus Blooms on suspend at the same time, and then Brian plays a High Noon to effectively counter one of them.
Okay, yeah.
Well, can we see another one?
Does he have another one in his hand?
No, I don't think so.
He does have a Shoal. Takes 3.
Oh, I assume that's going to be for Stern Scolding, which
I assume it's for something. Yeah.
I mean, he's got multiple 1-drops here.
Yeah, that's the Stern Scolding.
Is that the one that you snap Stern Scolding though?
I think you just
if you're playing for tempo, yeah.
If you're paying 3 life there, I think you're doing that. Yes. I think if you play your land tapped, I don't think you care. Going to 14 is ballsy. We got a Falaji.
Oh.
3 Lotus Blooms in the top 10 cards, 15 cards. Wow.
Am I missing something? Is there something? Oh,
well, he can choose. He can choose not to take it, and this guy becomes a 1/4. So that makes blocking a little bit better, especially like against Ocelot Prides and stuff like that.
I think I don't know. I don't think you just. I think you need to take the bloom. You want the mana.
Yeah, and I mean you're just gonna eat this Ocelot Pride all day, maybe. Is that the 4th bloom? He just drew the 4th bloom.
Oh, I feel like that's not what you're trying to do.
Oh God, he's bloom flooded. He does have waterlog teachings in his hand. and Suppression Ray. I think this was the moment where I was watching over his shoulder, kind of. And he's like reading Suppression Ray, and I wanted to tap him on the shoulder and be like, that card doesn't do anything. It's just a land. But I think he figures it out right here.
Yeah, because it's I actually detest how much.
For the viewer at home, if you don't have energy, it doesn't do anything. But it says tap
Yes.
all creatures your target player controls, and then you can pay X energy and choose up to X creatures that are tapped this way and put stun counters on them. I mean, if you're trying to attack for lethal with your 1/4 Philology, it taps your opponent's team down, but that's about it.
God is my witness. If someone can show me on camera on a match someone doing that, I will
Or on
buy them a
Moda.
collective.
Stop drawing.
No, I want to see it on paper. Moto, it could happen like any day of the week. Everything happens on Moto. A guy can play 60 islands and win on Moto 5-0. But
What's my
I want to see it on paper,
percentage?
and I want to see somebody swing in and tag me on wherever. Send it to me via post mail. I'll accept a DVD, a VHS, however you want me to see it, and I'll buy you a pack of Final Fantasy Collector Booster.
He's got lands in his chat.
Okay, so we got oh high noon off the top,
Does this do even
off the
anything?
top rope.
I'll go fetch.
Unfortunately, fortunately for Tom, because he drew the blooms in sequential turns, he will get all of them.
So
But it will be
I
very
didn't know
awkward
it
if he
also
wants to ever
generated-
go off.
Yeah, I didn't know if it also generated energy. It could tap them all down.
Oh my God. So if I'm reading this correctly, and I believe
So I could
I may have
get
been
one
thinking about it
forward.
wrongly while I was, the man in the booth. I think you have to cast the suspend card. I don't think you get a choice of whether you want to cast it or not.
No, it's you may cast it.
For Lotus Bloom, it says when the last counter is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost.
I would look up the Oracle text
Okay.
and then give me $10 and pass go.
Play high noon.
Oh. I'll leave the Oracle texting looking. I'll leave the Scryfall stuff up to you.
Okay. Well, I will. I pinky promise you, I already have it up. It says when the last is removed, when the last counter is removed, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So it turned to a May. Because we just, I have a gripe with Wizards about that. I really feel like they've eroded a lot of stuff to be a May. And I think that May has made it so that there's less punishment in decision making. Which, when we started playing Standard, when I started playing Standard, when you first, met me, I do feel like cards had less May, which really had to make you think about certain decisions. And I'm not always a fan of every card having a May option. I feel like sometimes it's like if you want to make the gamble and the risk, then you gotta risk it. But
agreed.
I digress.
Tom was eyeing up one of the cards and went to go tap mana, and I had to remind him he already cast a spell.
My own suspend.
Yep. And listen, you know what? That's probably gonna buy Brian enough time to do what he needs to do.
Especially either playing this voice or I'm not playing a land from Tom here is huge because I think Brian may just jam this Molten Rain.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a tough call because you have not only do you have
I think the clock is better, but the Molten Rain might be okay.
Yeah, but you also, I think he has an Ajani, right? Is that an F or an A? I can't tell. Brian, in the future, can
it's
you...
an F.
Okay,
it's an F, yeah.
All right, finally we figured it out. All right, so that being said, he can either cast 2, 3, or one of the 3 drops. All right, he goes for the mid-rangey, slower play. He is
Well, he does make a dude. He increases his clock a little bit.
That's true.
It's now a 3-turn clock, which is technically a 2-turn clock.
Unfortunately for him, he is 1 permanent away from King's Blessing, which would have been, or City's Blessing. Sorry, King's Blessing.
3, 4.
He's got 9.
5.
Oh no, wait.
So 2 cats, 1 more.
4, 5.
Oh no, I forgot the token makes it itself and counts, which is, I mean, this card is absurd. The more I think about how absurd this card is,
Totes agree.
I remember green white tokens in Standard with Vivian, or not Vivian, like the 3-mana Nissa and all that stuff, like being kind of absurd. But then they're like, you know what? We're gonna put an entire archetype of a deck into 1 card.
Yeah.
Still casting that. Interesting.
Say go.
I think this was a. I think with the waterlog teachings, he may have wanted to cast it in Brian's end step with the one Lotus Bloom, just because he was going to get another 3 mana this turn. So like you might as well use it while you can, because he could have gotten like Bane Veil if he thought like he was going to be dead, or if he thought whatever else was going to happen.
Inserting.
Did he really just draw an arena?
Red floating.
I think so.
Oh. I would not be a happy camper. Alright, well he had the force of, I know it's not a force of will, but close enough.
Yeah, basically.
That one was better, there was no life lost.
Red floating.
Wait, why does he have a token?
I'll move to combat phase.
He got a little, I think Brian got a little ahead of himself.
2, 4,
Yeah,
5,
there we
6,
go.
7, 8. Yep, I got a 3 tier 19.
Alright, Sparky, this being your list, does Belcher play Wrath of the Skies?
Yep.
I don't think so, right?
My list for frickin' Belcher? No.
Think so.
4, and then this.
So,
2 more
this
taps.
should be interesting, unless...
Oh my
he doesn't-
god! He just has lethal here with High Noon.
I have 6 mana. Crack.
Oh,
All but one.
Because he
Oh, yeah, I
got he
forgot, it's
doubled,
any
he doubled the
target.
treasure tokens.
any
Yeah.
target. Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
good eye.
Got
eye,
him.
Brian.
Dead.
I thought you were gonna miss it
Wow.
with the when you played the. You could have just.
Yeah, I think there was just an attack there without him
'cause you had
casting the
nothing planned
spell.
Yeah.
I think is what Tom's saying.
Not, okay, just do it before combat.
I mean, no, I think the voice is fine because you're still gonna get the treasures regardless.
Yeah.
If I have the.
I think Voice of Victory is fine, because it leaves no doubt about how that's going to play out.
The shrink spell.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Like that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
When you're playing, if you can make sure that you can cut off your opponent from doing anything at all,
It
and
works,
just
yeah,
covering
the
all
triple,
bases, do it.
the Lotus Blue.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell. And if you'd like to support us, you could find us at our Bonfire store.
And a huge thank you to our sponsors, Nova Games and Brick, for hosting us for FNM. And please make sure to use our Mana Traders coupon code OCHM at signup for 25% off your third month.
I've been Sparky. Say goodbye, Victor.
Goodbye, Victor.